So this is going to be super informal. I want it to be kind of a discussion. Don't just let me talk the entire time. You guys have questions, comments, or see something that I'm not mentioning. So gonna be a lot of broad strokes here. I don't want to like get into like micro play and that kind of stuff or what. So I'm gonna start by watching our first match on Li Zhang. I thought it had a lot of good points, and this is all the ones of us playing are gonna be from. What was the first team that we? It was the team that was like kind of mid diamond and masters, but I thought it was actually a lot of good. Starting out.
Capture the objective.
Just right away, things to notice. They're basically playing what's currently like the Overwatch League meta, except for Genji, not Reaper. So they're kind of already going to be at a bit of an advantage versus what we're running. And just kind of comparing the matchups, like the strengths are going to have that hit scan versus Era, whereas, you know, we have that counter to the Genji and, you know, but they're going to be running the meta, so they're going to be kind of moving faster, controlling more space. If I remember right, the call was to go straight. But we kind of went slower, which allowed their whole team to kind of push on a point, and it kind of forced it into a retake situation, but not quite. So right here, fight's pretty much over.
The objective is now active.
And an immediate takeaway I want to get into, I know team isn't, but I know I've touched on it before, but knowing when a fight is lost and not playing your life or trying to make, you know, plays while the whole team's dead, just knowing when to reset the fight and kind of going to be a general topic throughout this. See that, I mean, the team does do a good job of kind of disengaging and getting out, but if you would have died there, that would have basically taken away 30 seconds from next reset.
Coming through. Justice reigns from above.
Yeah, kind of what I'm talking about. What basically happened was a 3v5 here. Well, Achieve kind of went on his flank and went to the point, and just didn't play with the team and reset. I'm not gonna be calling out players for their actions. Just an example of how they're playing as 5 and they're winning. A lot of this is, you know, Reaper's trying to stay alive here. Meanwhile, half of the team is dead, so this should be kind of a reset situation. And it's just, it's not, I don't want to rag on you guys too much, but it's just kind of the thought of your life isn't as important as the team's. So always trying to or play your life or kind of make your own play isn't the right way to think. It's kind of the team's plan and fight planning and all.
Breaking them down.
We'll see, you know that fight's over, kind of start a timer in your heads on how long this is going to take before.
Disrupted.
That's not a Reaper. it's impressive that Mercy got away there. But a big point to point out, it's not super evident here with what they just did, but it's kind of synergy with roles. Kind of a, I guess, kind of a crutch that we fall into with the fact that we're almost always having a Mercy is supports, you know, peeling for each other and having that kind of old synergy. You're having, you know, say a Lucio with the defensive ult and Mercy with the offensive ult. Falcon usually end up with no defensive, no support ult that can counter, you know, when they do those Kiriko ults or your. So that's kind of why I had you guys list those in your own like respective channels so that we kind of hopefully broaden our hero pools and start focusing more on what heroes work together well versus, you know,
Nerf this! This ends now! Helden sterben nicht! Justice reigns from above!
Overtime.
Nothing gets past me.
not a lot to go over with this kind of stall situation. I mean, you guys actually did a pretty good job.
Neutralize projectile.
So a lot of the points I want to make about
Ready
this
for
map
battle.
are on phase. I know this is, yes. So here you guys start out
Round
really
two.
well with
Capture
your
the objective.
target focus, your ult planning. I think it's because Atif was driving that when he was kind of playing or his Pharah and communicating to the main tank to like bait them, play off of that. And I'd just like to see you guys do that more because I thought it won you guys, I think, 2 or 3 fights very clearly. I think that a lot of times when you're kind of on the losing end or if you're retaking a point, you guys don't feel as confident with that. But even if it's a rough match and the game, having a plan going into a fight is always. So you guys get a pick right away. You immediately get super aggressive here. So minor thing here. Point unlocks. I mean, I know that it take it faster if everybody's there, but you can be taking the space. Your main thing can be here, kind of denying them, kind of getting a heads up on coming in.
The
So I'd say
objective
only
is now
reserve, you know,
active.
having everybody on if it's like a mid-game retake. They're like actively gating. Your positioning's good. You have your Pharah kind of up here scouting their directions while you're playing in cover to your advantage, not, you know, playing out here where you're going to be taking a bunch of ball comes in to rotate. Once again, you guys get a really tight pick.
Justice reigns from above! Deine Pflicht ist nicht getan!
Yeah, overall, this whole kind of cycle, aside from Genji, is just falling off the map. Where you guys are playing like right here inside point. You guys were, I remember the comms were So just focusing on that kind of energy, you're aggressively planning and kind of not playing reactive. I'd love to see.
Huge skill orb, Harrison. Huge skill orb.
Bro, where'd I even throw it?
I don't
You
even
took
know.
it. You
I saw
took it
that
at a
on my
rock.
feed when I was recording, and I was like, I don't even know how that.
It got like hit ricocheted off a wall into the building,
Oh yeah,
And
'cause
so
I
I-
only ricochet my orbs.
and somehow got damage boosted.
So quick thing, just kind of while this is in limbo, supports. If you want to work on your ult tracking, a great way to do that is to go into these replays after screen time and try to remember what you were predicting in game and just kind of track it, team and right. And
Yeah.
it's a good tool to just learn.
Okay, got it.
Here again, I remember you guys playing same fair ult, same spot, and
Initiating defense matrix.
see that having a plan helped you that.
狐の鍵爪を解ける Rains from above!
Team kill.
Hey, catch.
Gale de Mahal.
She's gonna blow! Disrupting! Helden sterben nicht!
So what happens here is, I mean, they basically tank point, and like you'll gradually see that we're losing the fight, and especially on these Koth maps, when you guys have 99, I don't want you to focus about winning the fight that you're currently in. I want you to focus on winning, because having
Copy.
99 means that the second that you win that fight, the match is over. So kind of prolonging these, especially if they had taken points already, you're just going to give them 20%.
Nerf this. Heating up. Let's pick up the
That must sting.
She's gonna blow!
Okay. So
dynamite out.
the way I said that this first half of the map, I really liked how you guys were playing in here and fight planning and stuff. The second half is where I'm kind of going to show you guys where that fell apart and how doing that would have been us. Because kind of just called pathing and then slammed our faces into them expecting something. Creating that plan and having kind of a you do this kind of framework is And I think another big point that I'm going to notice here is kind of stacking in general. Like anytime that you watch, your Overwatch leagues or pro play, you're going to see them all basically on top of each other, walking different or team fights. And here I see a lot of kind of people going off on their own ways and trying out flanks without really competing. Here, our main tank is walking on bridge. Our Reaper's here, our Pharah is up here. So our tank is basically alone here. So it's going to be so much harder for them to take space. Kind of about it that way. And, just thinking about threats, there's not a lot that can stop you from just walking on bridge. You can have your Ashe who's playing farther back. Same with the Sojourn. All you really have to worry about is the that results in we don't take the space from the front because our main tank or our tank doesn't feel, empowered to do that, and we end up having our Reaper who's on that flank have to get out early.
She's gonna blow! Defense matrix coming through! Dynamite out!
Wahrnehmung awaiting.
Engaging thrusters!
Helden sterben nicht.
Justice! Rain from above! Nerf this! Bob! Do something!
This ends now.
Starting about here, I want you guys to kind of see what they do and learn from them on how they're stalling for overtime. It's a very communication-based kind of way to do things. It's just a chain of people who can get there saying, okay, I'm touching first, and then whoever's after them is saying, I'm touching second. And you're not all going in at once and kind of wasting that time that you can stagger in. And we'll see that they do it all the way up to 9.
Defense matrix!
Sie werden dich nicht kriegen.
Gale the Mahal. Overtime.
Diving in! No!
Yeah, even though it didn't work out, say it's a different situation where maybe you're at like 70 and they're at 20, if you can stagger all the way in, that gives you a win condition. So just thinking about kind of when to stall and when to reset, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Ready for battle.
Plan to win. Or expect to lose.
4, 3.
So what I want you guys to look at here is get your comp and look at their comp and tell me who wants to play where. Just thinking about this first fight, where would this team want to push and where do you guys want to play?
We want to go inside. That's where we want to go.
Here?
Yeah.
Most people call this White Room, if you guys want to use
White
it
Room.
for call-outs.
And then like the other team, they probably want to go like near like where the boop area is, so, like the environmental kill
You're
areas.
saying this kind of back area on the high ground.
Yeah, that like the back left near their spawn,
Okay.
like there.
I agree.
That's where I would put the Ashen. So I would put Sojourn like near them, those areas.
That is the correct answer. You guys, especially like with the Junkrat, of course, you got here because that controls that inside space
It's a
instantly.
kill room.
And along with that kind of short range Zarya, and it's much more of a death ball-y kind of comp. And they're looking to poke, they're looking to kind of passively hold space and kind of pull back and
2, 1. Round 3. Capture the objective.
There we go. And well, we could be holding this space and just kind of spamming from here until point unlocks in 16 seconds. All come back to rotate point. I think just if we had that kind of knowledge of looking at how each comp is going to play, and you don't have to know what the enemy has, just kind of looking at your own comp. Okay, we want to stick in here and just try to spam them out. Come on here and you just kind of notice we just lose out to how much range they have.
The objective is now active.
Hey.
Kind of going to see that coming into this retake where they're going to be controlling this kind of back left, it's just right near point. And it's going to be that much of a struggle for us to take either of these two out.
You cannot escape me. Going somewhere?
Forward barrier activated.
Not so fast.
Neutralizing projectile.
I mean, that was an issue of kind of sightlines with healers, but you just notice just how many cooldowns we're having to get burned just to come in here versus maybe dedicating a few and just getting up right this stair line to kind of avoid this long sight line.
Equing this. Initiating defense matrix. Neutralizing projectile.
Nerf this.
Game on.
So I think here, from Moira kind of realizes the play. Just need to avoid this sight line altogether and move inside.
Forward barrier activated. Diving in.
Do something.
Nothing gets past me.
Similar situation. At this point, you're kind of at a teetering point where they've used a lot of ults. You have to decide if you want to look to commit these ults that are coming. So just calling that tempo and kind of even disengaging a little bit if you want to, kind of line of sight that window and just poke until you get those support ults and then re-engage. Just kind of gauging the tempo of fights.
Engaging thrusters. Dynamite active.
Not so fast.
Gale the Mahal!
Hi-ya. No.
Yeah, really only big points from that are just, the team play aspects. What I want you guys to look at as an example, I don't expect you guys to perfectly emulate
So,
Pro
I
Player.
didn't stream yesterday because I left to...
So
Rotate
kind
around,
of a
try and
retake
take some of this
already.
position.
You're gonna see, I think it's the Shock lose fight, and they come back to re-engage, and it gets picked kind of instantly. And I want you to watch what they do versus kind of committing to the 4v5 and still trying to flip.
Position on the high ground. Yeah, Dallas peeled back for Edison very quickly there. They're very concerned about Mikey closing on him. Fearless is dropping in the backside here, and no one's paying that much attention early on. The Shock trying to aggressively position themselves toward this ball, but Kino, of all people, to find first blood at second for the Fuel. I shouldn't be surprised, but here we are. Edison is still on the field now, is able to slide away from Mikey, who's going lower and lower. Chio fancies a bit of argy-bargy, and Edison brings the monkey down. No one capping yet, but the Dallas Fuel have the numbers.
You're going to see this Reaper TPN.
It'll be a TP into the back line, or to the point here, rather, from Striker. That's a risky play, and it's punished. Yeah,
So they're instantly disengaging and looking to just basically GG go next fight.
It's a really dangerous play there from Striker. That's a really good sign for the Dallas Fuel early on.
And by doing that, they've basically gone from waiting, 30 seconds for the next team fight to maybe 5 to 10. that happened so early. But well, they were like still pathing up. But does that kind of thinking make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. Bro, I have a few points. So first of all, let me
That sound barrier, having that.
So, great point from this match, bro, is they're on an R play. That is how to play this area, because I think it's not only one of the hardest areas to mentally play and kind of strategize around. I think that they went about it a very kind of unique and great way to look at.
For this Kitsune Rush, they actually just farm it up now. Finn has his. Oh! May not matter now.
What an
You're gonna
opener
notice
there from Edison.
That they're playing a lot of like the high ground around this corner, and that gives them the advantage to kind of let them in and then collapse down.
Sojourn is in the meta, and I think obviously everybody can see why. Especially in moments like this, being able to get those early pickoffs, it just eats at the clock. The Shock have to attack.
San Francisco, no choice but to regroup. Can't do too much about a fully charged rail.
So I want you guys to look at their position here. Both teams, they're not playing in this kind of neutral space. They're both playing their respective corners. So before going into that, you guys do.
Ready for battle. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Once again, matchups wants to play how. Anybody?
We like. I mean, we're kind of on a just. I'd say probably let where the arrow goes. We probably want to go there, about that way. For this comp, and them, they kind of just want to play point. I feel like the high ground.
High grounds, yeah.
Yeah, they're very high ground centric and they don't have much burst. So basically, in a situation where you guys could collapse on them, they would basically.
1.
That really
Attackers
doesn't matter
incoming.
because a team
Defend
just pick right away and
objective
you guys
A.
walk right in. Which honestly, it's a point that I mean, you guys don't have enough Lucio, so you can't just immediately collapse on a point. If you get that would right say there. Yeah, you guys played this super well. This whole King's Row match was super even, so it's great to kind of watch what respective teams do because them being a higher skill rating team and us winning against them. A lot of playback. We're seeing the same kind of thing of if you relate it to a Koth map, you wouldn't want your entire team to be sitting on this while the team is resetting up to this point. Make this wait, kind of apply push maps to your Koth map.
Objective lost. Stop the payload.
A point, I know that you guys are fairly used to these pharmacy comps. I'd like you guys to get to a point where you get the coordination to kind of vocalize to each other where you're going to be for a team fight and kind of call it a kill box basically. Where if say this want this to be your kill box. Your Zarya can play here. You're kind of in an awkward space here, so you want to take the fight here. Pharah, instead of going for this flank, for that she knows that she's going to be spamming here, maybe falling back. This kind of communicating that is going to be kind of a forcing function for a Tief to play, and along with that, it's going to help you survive more fights.
Justice! Sie werden dich nicht kriegen!
So I think it's a better point later on in the map, but I want to focus. So this point in the map is super hard to play. It might not seem like it, but it can sway a lot of fights the way that you. So I'll let the tank have the first, says of how to play this, since you're going to be calling a lot of the IGL stuff. Who has the advantage in this area? Kind of long. Attackers or the defenders?
I think defend. I think defense.
Why do you think that?
Because the high ground behind them. They have to come out. They can't quite deal with them unless they go out of their way to go get them.
Yeah. And do you think that tank player on the defensive side should be playing kind of here? Or up here at this corner?
I'm thinking back.
I mean, I think it depends on what the enemy team is playing.
I agree.
Okay, let's say,
Because I think you can hold close if they have like more of a brawl.
yeah, let's say it's just brawl v brawl, and you're both on Ryan.
And I think you could hold that corner.
You could.
That would be good.
So there's a right answer and a wrong answer there. The attacker has the advantage here, and it's all sightlines. So think about it from here. Through this Rhine, you're already controlling this space, kind of passive space. You get here, and you're taking a ton of poke. Say that, a Sojourn's ulting or something like that. That's just raining damage generally. Your supports are going to be here, supporting you. And you have a few choices here. You can walk down and kind of deal that damage. Jump to the side here, get healed up, and wait it out. Or you can just rotate back, whether they're wrapping around and you want to get here, all the way back to core. Whereas if you're a Ryan here, and same ulting Sojourn peeks around that corner, you walk back here, kind of no man's land. Like you are forced to take this long walk back to this corner or that corner. And a lot of times you're going to. So, and then same thought, if you just jump in here, your supports have zero sightline for you and you're basically. So having that knowledge, not play in awkward positions like this and just hold here. And maybe if you have a Lucio, you call speed in, you're going around this corner. That can be an advantage. Knowing when not to hold awkward positions is basically. Not super related because I think we end up holding pretty close here. So kind of non-vocally, you guys individually work up that this is your kill box, and I think it ends up working out pretty well. But if you see this kind of the sight lines deciding on kill box.
Dynamite! Helden sterben nicht!
And so, going back to how it went on Lijiang, at this point, I think you're down, 3 at this point, because Tief just. So that would be a situation where you're just going to die on cart, because the route that you're going to walk all the way back to kind of where spawn is, there's too many opportunities to get picked. So trying to play your life is kind of going to play the inevitable, and it's just going to cost you possibly another team fight in the game.
Stop.
You'll see this Zarya holding the space. If our Phyra decides to hard engage her and say she's out of bubble, he really doesn't have a choice but to walk back. And both knowing not to do that and knowing when to recognize that can kind of open up holes in their fight plan or allow you to get.
Огонь по готовности! Огонь по готовности! Rains from above!
Deine Pflicht ist nicht getan.
I've got you in my sights.
The payload has reached the checkpoint. Stay put!
So I think you guys kind of eventually figure out how to play this. You guys end up regrouping really well in this kind of inside area while you're on attack. And I think in general, you guys have really kind of succinct team fights here where you're kind of stacked as 5 all.
This ends now.
Helden sterben nicht.
So you're kind of doing what I was talking about the Owl players doing, where you see one player go down, it's being kind of retreat back around this corner, and ideally, avoiding all sight lines by going to this.
Going somewhere?
So by doing that, you're already ready for the next team fight, just because one person had to come back instead of you all kind of trying to keep fighting it out and fight a slow losing fight. You're effectively back in the fight less than 30.
Do something!
Hey, catch.
What's the rush?
Kind of same line here. A lot of times when you're playing King's Row, you're going to notice, like even in your comp games, anytime that your whole team gets super aggressive and pushes this area, you'll kind of 50-50 lose the next fight, because it's the same as this kind of prior position where you're in a long corridor and there's not much to. You guys, you have this corner with this very close wraparound action, along with other avenues to get to.
Stay put.
Do something!
Sie werden dich.
So in general, for finishing up this map, I remember our target focus actually was really. pretty much any time that a target was called out, everybody turned and looked at it. So focusing on that, especially in those kind of last minute situations, it's gonna stop them from doing that stalling kind of tactic that.
My sights.
Огонь по готовности!
Also, brownie points, Kayla, you do a really good job of kind of thinking of yourself as a meat shield a lot of the times as a tank. So great job kind of going back for that grab and just kind of literally walking.
Is that intentional, Kayla?
Probably. I'm like, 'cause I was trying to hold above, yeah, so like to take pressure off of you guys, but I think that's what I was thinking. I don't know.
I mean, a lot of things you're not, consciously thinking about. It's just kind of innate how you play the game. Point that I kind of talking about here is Kayla's shooting at this BAP here. I think a D.Va comes and somebody calls it out, and you see basically everybody turn.
This ends now.
Yeah, in general, this whole map you guys played super well. There was just kind of the not issues with your play, just things to think about as far as positioning and who has the advantage.
The wee hiccups, yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Honestly, it just comes down to team. You guys had double hits and they had a Genji play. Kind of singled out who was playing an off angle, and that kind of ended up. I think your positioning was fine. Back, you guys kind of had the core around this corner, which you guys kind of safe from poke. Had your BAP here, kind of helping them out. The only issue would be if, say, this D.Va turned around and dumped on your BAP, kind of dump or down aim up. So
yeah, that's exactly what she forced me to do.
Yeah, and you could think about, would you be better off playing up on this high ground, and you could either drop down with the team if you want to play in like what you put down, or drop back behind point and kind of play this back area by this mid. It's kind of those micro positioning things where you think about, hey, what if somebody don't, where do I go?
Objective lost. Stop the payload.
Here, you guys are got far spawn, so you kind of have to make that decision of whether you want to passively hold space here or pull back. So I think, right, this is okay. You have a healer, a yes. Hold the space that you're holding, or
Probably fall back.
Um,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it could go either way. Because having that Zarya Pharah app, like, kind of hold your own. And if you were, you know, focusing on building your ult charges up for the next fight, you kind of safely take that poke. But it wouldn't be the wrong answer. Back and make sure kind of thing. So we kind of run into the same situation here where our tank is kind of alone. The BAP's here to heal, but everybody else is up here. So if I'm the enemy team, I'm seeing a tank alone and I'm just thinking, hold W key into this tank.
Helden sterben nicht.
Neutralizing projectile. Breaking them down.
This ends now.
Rain from above.
In general, I think you guys play that fight almost perfectly. So, start of the fight, that Sojourn used overclock, and our BAP, I mean, it was kind of delayed, but you followed up with window, and that kind of denies her the safety of just holding that sight line, kind of thinking to one-tap people, and then kind of in return take basically any damage shut out. So kind of thinking like that, where you're shutting down other ultimates with your ultimates, it doesn't always have to be defensible. Kind of taking away advantage of. I thought that was super great. Then yeah, your positioning, you just kind of collapsed in on them with that, and you didn't rely on, you know, standing behind that window while selfishly shooting.
Kill. The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Not singling out the teams, but just kind of that mentality of playing your life versus reset. Now you got this 45.
Payload is approaching its destination.
Breaking them down. Rain from above.
So the basic takeaway from the whole third phase, that was one team fight for you. You guys kind of gradually fell back, and one person who died would rejoin, one person would die. Long team fight for you guys, and it didn't allow you to kind of take things at your own pace. You were just kind of gradually backing up and not really applying pressure to the cart, which allowed them to
Round 2 complete.
just kind of, I guess the biggest takeaway from these first few
Ready
maps
for
is
battle.
wanting to take team fights as 5v5 instead of, you know, having the overall goal just being to kill it.
4,
It doesn't matter if you're
3, 2, 1.
like getting like a
Attackers
3K Reaper
incoming.
Blossom and
Defend
you're the
objective
only one
A.
there, because whole teams back here can't really capitalize and take points. But they thinking of it as a team fight and as a team, just doing that, you're good. What I want to point out is both playing this really well. They're both gauging the tempo. You guys pushed in, they came back around this kind of corner. Then they got a pick, they pushed around this corner, backed up to have your. It's that kind of stuff that's more acceptable in a team fight, more than you guys just kind of like had backed up just to here. They made this rotation, suddenly you're all kind of getting stacked. But you all pushing back to here allows for that quick on and then.
Seconds remaining.
Nerf this!
Overtime. Round 3. 1. Attackers incoming.
Just quick to finish up this map. I guess it's kind of like something that you're going to learn with time, but recognizing strats kind of off the bat, it's going to help you. Just that, I don't know why they tried this, it doesn't matter, because Bastion is, but and just kind of recognizing it, if it's a comp that is known for only working in one scenario, and there's outplay, here they kind of fall, and you guys could have walked in, right? That you give them the space and kind of allow them to figure out what they're doing.
Defend objective A.
It's not a huge learning point because it's not really serious Overwatch, but it's something to kind of watch how it goes.
Coach, would you believe me and said this is the second time we've seen this
So
in Overwatch 2?
I mean,
Actually,
yeah, it used
It's
to
gonna be the third or
kind of
second time.
in Overwatch 1 because Sebastian would stay here.
Yeah, and Sig would just put a shield for it.
He moves.
Yeah, in Overwatch
so-
1, I've seen this too many times.
I've seen this way too many times. I've seen this twice in Overwatch 2. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it makes zero sense. They did it.
What is he blocking?
That means nothing. They could have just blocked it. Basically, we gave them space, whereas having a Sig, we kind of could have W'd in Bastion.
Deine Pflicht ist nicht getan!
overall, I think that this King's Row map was the best that you guys did against this other team. And I would say that it honestly could have gone either way at overtime. So very small microplay things to look at there, and overall it was going from that into what was a pretty rough map. I think at this point your guys' is kind of broken. I mean, especially when another team writing in chat, I think they were saying that they were going to try a contender that they saw.
Yeah.
We're just kind of DMing you guys. But I think it's an opportunity to kind of start thinking about how team comps interact with each other. Because what they end up playing is kind of, it's a comp where everybody's kind of playing in a circle around the enemy team, all kind of commanding attention their own way, and it results in the enemy team kind of being drawn in all different directions, 1v1 by kind of characters that focus on. So you'll see their hog takes an off angle, and then somebody goes to 1v1 the hog and dies, or the Genji will dive in and somebody will turn around and get killed again. And kind of those situations.
2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Always planning.
So at this point, I would have waited and let them scout, or let your Sombra scout, because you would have kind of known where you went. She sees that and kind of. But you see that they have this whole sight line, and you guys just holding this space. You only see a little bit of them, and you don't really have.
Hey! Defense matrix! Nothing gets past me! Forward barrier activated! Neutralizing projectile!
I think whenever the clock drops, we're kind of start to see what I was talking about. Genji goes over, kind of commanding this frontal attention, and kind of in general, they start pulling everybody apart in different. So when you see that kind of thing, I want you guys to kind of, take it like a little breath, look at their comp, look at the weak points, and think of counterplay. So I think I talked about it afterward. Kind of thinking about what the right counterplay is, because I think if you guys went Ana, is that hog got close, anti him, and just kind of blow him up. At least win a few fights.
Flying high! Forward barrier activated!
See that they're just kind of, they're cycling who has the attention on. It's allowing, those 1v1 focus players to take these off angles like this hog is taking. You guys are focused on this Kira gold. Hog's gonna kind of walk into
What's this? Initializing system. Game on. Do something! Smoke master.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton to say about this map because it was really just kind of how they played it and their team comp versus yours, not really gameplay-wise. It's kind of comp versus.
Seconds remaining.
This ends now.
Gale the Mahal.
Allah till me.
30 seconds remaining.
狐の鍵爪を解き放て。
優雅我が敵を食らう友人の剣をくれ
10 seconds remaining.
That said, I kind of want to transition that kind of thinking about how team comps can counter each other. Pull that back to that earlier comment about how supports can interact. I want to use that to kind of talk about this new meta that's going to be coming, that was supposed to come, but is what Owl was. So that's also going to kind of draw from what you guys put in the chats below, like in your. And I just want to talk about, what we think about the new meta and what they were running kind of late season championship. So I guess first, any comments about our own of what you guys saw?
Nah, I got nothing.
I think I've said everything I wanted to say for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, kind of in general, I don't want you guys to feel beat down about anything. Like, overall, you guys are playing well. Your mental is awesome to see in a team. I think anytime that you guys go up against a team that is your skill level, you guys are pretty much crushing them. I just think that if you guys worked on your hero pools a bit more and worked on your, I think that we would be crushing people close to us and probably start scrimming up and around like the diamond range.
Mm-hmm.
We could end up working into kind of the meta comps. I think we're not far from what I've seen. That's something that we can try. I don't necessarily want to try to force you guys to do it days until the playoff game. Instantly, forcing you guys onto new heroes is create more problems than it's worth. But I think that there's kind of some changes that you guys think about kind of hero comps that have been.
Like what complements each other?
Yeah, we can talk about that. Like,
the Reaper Kiriko.
Yeah.
We put Kiriko ults, Reaper goes in full mock speed, and then reloads instantly, and then wipes the team.
Yeah, and not even ult combos. I mean, a lot of times they do combo the Blossom with it, but just how fast the Reaper is with Kiriko ult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it's also a very fast comp because a lot of people can travel fast. Like Kyoko could teleport, speed boost, jumping, and
This is probably Kiriko.
Yeah.
Kiriko's
just a gross character in general.
Yeah, but God.
But yeah, it's a lot of movement abilities, and it allows them to disengage, and it's allowing those team fights that I was talking about, where they're either coming back and regrouping, or they're just collapsing on. So I mean, in Owl, obviously these Sojourns are completely nutty and they're just ripping people. But in our own play, I want you guys to think about how you would counter. It's a mirror comp. How would you guys counter it?
Tank jumps on
Yeah,
Sojourn.
probably the monkey go for it.
I'd say
Yeah.
Sojourn would slide away though.
Yeah, that's a waste of jump. So
I feel like Soldier has to go get Soldier and Luzio has to go get it and bait it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Tank is kind of the correct answer, but a lot of times it can be not just jumping on it, it's seeing that it's worth it to kind of commit your primal onto taking somebody out of the fight versus, like your classic dive. A monkey would call, hey, I'm just going to jump into their backline on their supports and primal to get out. That kind of viable option. Whereas in these newer comps, it's looking at it as kind of creating an idealistic 4v4 where the monkey is taking somebody out of the fight and making it kind of a tank, a DPS, supports versus your side, which is 2 DPS, 2 supports, which kind of 1v1. So it's just kind of thinking about ult usage and how it can. And in addition to that, you guys can look at support kind of duo and how there's a defensive and an offensive. Whereas the Kiriko is always going to be an offensive ult. W and have that beat to kind of counteract that. Looking for that synergy in your team is going to be something that'll help you down.
Got it.
So with that kind of idea of how the comps are played, you guys think that you could run something like this, or do you think that we'd have to modify it? I think we could. I think we could if we up with like one of the DPS going Pharah, and say probably the Lucio would be here. So that's something that we could.
Yeah.
I don't want to just force people onto heroes. I know that's like an easy get burnt out on Overwatch. It's just get forced onto something that you play and then feel like you're not playing well and kind of costing team fights and all. I don't want to do. What do you guys think as far as modification?
I mean, Harrison's the big one, kind of, because he doesn't play Kyoko really. If anyone,
I don't think anyone plays. No one plays Kiriko.
Yeah, you're willing to learn, but it's 2 days to learn.
I'm not gonna learn it like in this upcoming Met. I'm literally just gonna spam it when I can.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's understandable. I mean, it's a brand new hero, pretty much. I don't expect anybody to feel comfortable. So, I mean, as overpowered as she is with that kind of speed, I think that looking at the core weight it is something that I think that Kayla's monkey is stronger than
yeah, Kayla.
Yeah, come on now.
I'm not confident in it.
I know you're not.
So the way I'm going to put it is the way that I saw you guys playing on, I think it was the second match of that night. On Circuit Royale, I forget who it was, which support. Somebody was telling Kayla, like, hey, I'm pocketing you, you can play aggressive. And the way that played there was how you should all. Because there was that kind of main tanky confidence where you were aggressively holding space, like pressuring people out of space that they were holding. Kind of thinking about it that way. And when you're doing that, supports, that means that you have to kind of back that up. Where you're keeping your main tanks alive and allowing them to hold space. And that's just going to pay dividends in you're going to be holding space, allowing your TPS to be kind of taking sightlines that they're wanting to hold instead of what's available. Yeah, in general, just kind of being aggressive like that instead of reactive. I think that having that mentality on the monkey, Kayla is definitely going to. He'll notice it. I think right now you're kind of it's not that you don't know how to play Monkey, because it's like I've said to you. It's the mentality of you convincing yourself that you don't know how to play Monkey, so you're not as confident. Then, as far as the rest of the comp, I've seen play Sojourn and Reaper. I don't know if it's played. I've seen him Sojourn a bit.
I know Coach what's it called Cole wants him to learn Sojourn because Sojourn is really good, and Jack already knows how to play Reaper really well.
Yeah, so I think
I can play Sojourn a little bit.
Yeah, you
I
can
could
play
see
Sojourn,
that,
but
yeah.
I feel like Atif is just better on Sojourn because of his aim. Like you saw
He
his.
despises Sojourn. He told me that personally. He told
Oh,
me and Cole
told
both.
me as
He
well.
despised playing it, dog. Like he hates playing that character.
Really?
I will
Okay.
take.
I think
then
he
I
just
will
I
needs
don't
to
know
get
why
over
he likes
himself,
playing
but
Ashe.
Just think. But yeah, then he can take the Reaper.
And I mean, that's not a discussion that I want to like have like clearly as me as the coach to the team on what this can have as a internal discussion. Talk as players. If the two DPS or want to talk to each other and decide who wants to play what, somebody's comfortable. Some you guys want to come hey, kind of talking over this Sojourn. Try it. And that can apply to anything, like any comp that comes out. If you guys come to me and say that you want to try something, that's a scenario where maybe I could book you a scrim that's like practicing that, and we can try something. And that's better than just kind of forcing you guys onto trying something in a normal scrim. I decided, and we just get our faces rolled over and decide to never touch that again. It's a learning experience. I don't want you guys to just think that you have to see a meta comp and kind of slam your faces into it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also like kind of the flex DPS as well, so I'm also fine being Sojourn as well because I've been practicing her while playing DPS.
Yeah, and if that's something that we want to try, where we're rotating people out, that's absolutely just kind of decision on who wants to play what and when. We can switch people out for maps. Say that map that is more of a Sojourn map versus a map that not kind of always committing to having the same rosters. Have a fairly deep talks of there was like a player that was there last season that had to dip out because of commitment back part-time. We could allowing for that flexibility. You have to always 6 to 5 stack.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts as far as team comps, what you guys saw from your own gameplay of how to play maps and team fight?
So with this team that's currently displayed, it will be like a dive comp, like a very divey comp.
Yeah, let me actually just find a good team fight where you guys can kind of get. Because honestly, just watching like a couple team fights, you get a really good picture of how this plays.
Yo, that boy is hype.
He was hype. Oh
I
my
mean,
god.
they're Shock fans. They're always hype.
They're like, yeah. Oh, god. That's full monkey mode.
So a lot of it is it's very divey. It's a lot of just kind of speeding into them, and kind of up to the Sojourn whether they're shift aggressively or defensively. A lot of what I saw is Edison here. He's almost entirely defensive, whereas Proper basically sliding into the team and using barrel gun like a shotgun, playing kind of more like a Cassidy style. It's something that you can kind of decide your style and work off of that, but in general, it's very death of poly.
Yeah, Edison operating in this pocket. He's going to be dueling with Proper. Lobstorm's gone for a time.
Oh, dude, Violet had maybe one shot there. He's so low.
Dallas giving a little bit of ground here. Maybe trying to get Sparkle now into the fight. Edison is out of it, that's for sure. And Proper's not done here. Think back. Think what he did to those Outlaws. Give this guy an inch, it'll take a country mile. Chio! Well, it was only ever going to go one way.
What he did the
You'll see they're really kind of rushing down the enemy team the second they pick. And when that happens, they're kind of both kind of playing face to face, kind of trading cooldowns, trading those
Proper, and you're like, all right, yeah, let's see what happens.
Once the enemy team sees like a singular pick, they're WP.
Like Proper is inevitable, and he is making this run back happen for the shot through this loser bracket. It's insane. Mikey, that's a really fast play there. Shield gets that speed boost, gets Sparkle right in the mix, and Mikey not able to get out.
San Francisco not ready for that kind of pace here. How are they going to respond? Oh, Proper! What's happened there? Katsuna Rush deployed regardless, but what are the options here for the Shock? It's a hard reset.
And a lot of time with those Kirikos, what they're doing is kind of trading them. Like if one Kiriko sees the other use it, they'll just kind of reflex to the same. That'll kind of by itself negate it because it's kind of evening the playfield.
Not good.
Steal my line.
This is like a good response to Kiriko to Kiriko. Is that?
Yeah, because I mean, it. Assuming that both teams are 5 players, it makes the play even. It doesn't give somebody an advantage.
He's dialed in, Matt.
In my opinion,
I mean, look, you
also
have to really, as Mike, you have to be careful jumping these positions. Right? Time and time again, we've seen now throughout this series, at least in the early parts.
Because if you're beating it and they're going to use Sojourner, that's worth it. But if it's reroll,
it's not going to land at the ideal location, but there's going to be a sound barrier here for the Shock to work with. Oh, the Death Blossom!
Damn, okay.
Well, but
nice ass TP.
And the Shock booted out again.
Sparkle.
3 fights in a row in favor for the Dallas Fuel. Overclocks available for both sides here. And maybe are able to actually like kind of speed boost Striker onto the point here, take that opposite position. You have that Death Blossom to work with.
Striker posturing here, Sparkle a little bit low, having to get away. Overclock.
See that everyone is playing mostly with the team.
Yeah.
Like no one's like blinking. Okay.
That's something that Sojourn's kind of allowed to do by having that shift, because she can. A lot of times what I see is she'll shoot that hit her feet and slide away. That's going to slow whoever just dove on her. Kind of allows her to play neutrally with the team and
blocking them off. It's 81% though for the Dallas Fuel. In a position where you're going to need like 2 fights, I think, to flip this and win.
Katsuna Rush thrown down. Edison quickly getting away. He knows the rest of his team are also.
Does have a great angle, Mitch.
Not now that the fight has been taken where. Oh, what is that? That is unhealthy.
How did he hit that? Where?
Long range across the map, full charge. Just the way you like it. Violet has a sound barrier here. Gonna have no. Okay, not gonna be able to get it in time. The Shock looks like they might be grouping up for another fight. Come back. Dallas does flip the point. This one might be a photo finish, Matthew.
And I was wondering if you're Violet, do you consider using the beat, keeping that one going? Maybe you're able to get it up to 90%. But they decide to save the sound barrier. They back out. Last fight territory.
Kitsune Rush versus sound barrier, at least in the beginning. Here it comes. Fielder lays it down. Sound barrier there provided by Mikey. But Proper, there's bubbles in the way. Still Proper's going to come forward. It's only going to be the one.
Do you have any like dedicated Lucio players? Our supports play a lot of Lucio.
Elf used to play a lot of Lucio on console, and now he's trying to make the transition back to PC. So he mainly plays Mercy because of Atif, but he does know how to play Lucio better. Well, also Jack. Jack is Lucio's quack.
Yeah, put Jack in, dog.
Your Lucio is
Lucio NA, dog.
Jack, your Lucio's quack.
That's Lucio NA. Time to fucking shut up and nerf, dog.
Sorando.
Time to put the metal to the pedal, dog.
Yeah. Jack Lucio's insane.
All that said, too, a small gameplay point out that Heat is a channeled ultimate, so it's kind of it's not immediate LOS. You can beat around a corner and around the corner.
Mm.
Saw what their Lucio just did, where he kind of beat it on this side and then.
Here come the Dallas Fuel! They're mad! And you'll better believe they're hungry!
So yeah, any thoughts about how the team comp plays after seeing it? Like, you have a better kind of picture of what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. They play like a team, and play all close and
and
rush when
You'll
rush.
see that in all Owl play, and it's something you definitely take away that they're just stronger by being together.
And that's a huge difference in that
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's something
Group
that
up
would
into
be a great
pots,
takeaway.
Mm-hmm.